So I am really excited about this course. This is something that I've wanted to put together for quite a while now. I believe that this is something that what you learn in this course is going to radically transform the way that you operate your law firm, the way that you get clients. It's going to absolutely change your life. So this is the Social Media Marketing for Lawyers Masterclass. It's going to be a 6-week course, and obviously this is week 1. So let's get started here. So in this course, you are going to learn how to use social media to establish yourself as an expert to the public and an authority in your area of the law. Now, the reason I say to the public is because I know lawyers, law firms, the word expert, specialist, different things like that is kind of a no-no. But the public will perceive you as an expert and an authority, and also a specialist if you follow these steps that I'm going to teach you in the next couple weeks here. So this strategy is going to absolutely change your life. It is the exact same strategy that I use, and that's how I know that it's going to change your life, because it has changed my life. It's an amazing strategy. It's the easiest marketing I've ever done. It's the best marketing I've ever done. It's the only strategy I will ever use for the rest of my career. I promise you, because it's a social media strategy, but it's a lot more than that. Actually, it's not even a social media strategy, and I'm going to get to why it's not in a minute here. It's also been proven over and over and over again to work. As I've been going through this, well, first of all, in different industries, this is the strategy that anyone who is an authority on anything uses. It's a proven strategy, but especially for lawyers, there's a lot of lawyers that I've been speaking with and working with and coaching that have seen a lot of success from this strategy. One comes to mind is a girl named Renee Reese. I did an interview with her that you can find on my YouTube channel, and she started her law firm sleeping on a friend's couch. So she didn't have any money, she didn't have anything. All she had was basically her time, and she used social media to grow her law firm to where she was making 6 figures within 6 months, and it was all from social media. She didn't have a website, she didn't have money for advertising, she didn't do Google AdWords, she didn't do anything. It was all using the strategy that I'm going to show you. Now, she did the manual version. I'm going to show you how to do the automated version, which is pretty cool and is what I do. I mentioned before it's a social media strategy. I was actually wrong. It's not a social media strategy. What this is a branding strategy that actually uses social media. So I don't want you to think this is a Facebook strategy or an Instagram strategy or anything like that, because it's so much more than that. Because Instagram is going to overtake Facebook one day. I'm very, very confident of that. Facebook overtook MySpace about 10 years ago. So, and before that was Friendster. So there's so many different platforms. So, this is a strategy that's going to teach you how to use social media as a whole, but the strategy is a branding strategy. It's not a social media strategy. So the reason that this strategy is important is because, as you know, marketing is always evolving. A couple of years ago, lawyers weren't, well, maybe not a couple of years ago, maybe, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, lawyers weren't really even able to advertise. I'm sure that you remember phone book advertising. I'm actually still amazed that people still advertise in the phone book, because it's a dying market. It's pretty amazing that some lawyers are still advertising in the phone book, but it used to be, if you own the phone book, you own the market. That's how it used to be. And then, websites came along, and there was SEO, and there was PPC, and these things, they still work. Websites are not dead by any means. I have a lot of clients that I do search engine optimization for, that I do pay-per-click. If you think about what Google looked like 3 years ago, and then think about what it's going to look like in 3 years, you're not even going to recognize it. So the next thing is social media, and I think everybody knows that. Everyone I'm talking to really kind of understands that social media is the next thing, but nobody really understands how to do it. And that's, I see a lot of people doing it wrong, and I see very few people doing it correctly, and that's actually a major advantage, because you're going to learn the correct way to do it over these next couple weeks. The other important part about this is that this strategy is not susceptible to algorithm updates. No more SEO. You don't have to worry about that anymore. How many times has your website been doing really well, and then Google makes an update and you disappear, and it's a 3-month climb back to the top, and you're there for a couple months, and then you disappear? And it's like I deal with that all the time. I hate it, but it's the game we play when we deal with search engine optimization, because at the end of the day, we're trying to game an algorithm with search engine optimization. With this, we're using the tools that are available to us. We're using psychology, and we're making it work. So there's no gaming anything. So as such, you're not gonna have these ebbs and flows. You're not gonna be on the top one week and then down another week. It just works. That's kind of the nice thing about this. Now, again, as I said, if you follow this strategy the way that I tell you to do it, you're not going to be reliant on one network. So what I mean by that is part of this is you're going to be building a Facebook group and building a community and things like that. And we're going to get into all of that in a little bit. But this strategy does not make it so that you're reliant on Facebook. So if you build, let's say, like for me, for example, I've got a community of 500 lawyers right now. It's not huge, but it's a community, and it's taken me a long time to build it. Let's say tomorrow Facebook decides that we're going to get rid of groups, or Instagram takes over and Facebook is no longer where everybody's hanging out anymore. This strategy will allow you to pick up from one network and go to another. It's not like if you only relied on Facebook and then Facebook's no longer the popular thing, then you're kind of in trouble here. So this strategy will make it so you're not reliant on one network. The strategy works with any network because it's the principles that you're going to follow that are actually going to make this work. Like I said, no more Facebook, hello Instagram. So this strategy is based on 3 basic marketing principles: brand recognition, repetition, and follow-up. So when talking about brand recognition and things like that, there's a couple people that come to mind with all these categories. So athletic shoes, who comes to mind? Nike, obviously. Beer, who comes to mind? Budweiser. Facial tissues, Kleenex. Soda, who do you think of? Coca-Cola. And then bandages, of course, probably think about Band-Aid. This works with attorneys also. And there's not nearly as many attorneys that have mastered this. Think about this. Which criminal defense attorney comes to mind? When you think of a woman's rights attorney or a female rights attorney, who do you think of? If you're in Florida, if you're in the southeast of the United States, actually really on the East Coast, and you think of a personal injury attorney, who comes to mind? Well, Johnny Cochran is the criminal defense attorney that comes to mind, and he passed away 10 years ago. But I still remember, if the glove doesn't fit, you must acquit, something like that. I mean, same thing, Gloria Allred, women's rights attorney. And some of you know John Morgan, Morgan & Morgan for the People. He has spent a tremendous amount of money, and I know because I've talked to the guys that do his pay-per-click, but he spent a tremendous amount of money making sure that when you think personal injury attorney, you think Morgan & Morgan. So what do they all have in common, though? They have something called top-of-mind awareness. And top-of-mind awareness is how quickly a brand or a product comes to the mind of a consumer. When you think soda, you think Coke. You don't think Pepsi, even though Pepsi is the better product because over and over and over again, they do those taste tests and Pepsi always wins. Yet when you think of soda, you think of Coke. In marketing, it used to basically be 3 touches on average before you kind of started associating a brand with what they were with the product that they sold. Now, in the age of the internet that we're in, people are exposed to so many brands and so much advertising that before someone will really kind of make a connection with your brand and what you do, you have to have 28 touches or more. I think it's more than that. The last report I saw was 28 touches, but it used to be 3 touches. And that's something that's really interesting because a lot of times I see lawyers that are going for the sale in 1 touch, and that's not the world that we live in anymore. A lot of times you try to run an ad and you try to get someone to hire you in one instance. And I call that going for home runs. And yeah, sometimes it works. There's a saying that my business partner likes to use all the time that sometimes a blind squirrel finds a nut, and it's true. It does work sometimes, but for it to really, really work, I tell people they need to go for singles. That means you just need to kind of make baby steps and start getting in people's, on their radar on a mass scale. And once that happens, it's absolutely amazing, the impact. And this, I see it firsthand all the time. Another big important part that is missed with attorneys and marketing is follow-up. When's the last time you reached back out to a consultation? A person comes in for a consultation, you guys have a nice conversation, sounds good, and then they disappear. Most attorneys that I talk to, they don't follow up. And that's something that's extremely important. Most people get caught up in life and, even if they intend to hire you, they just don't. Or they, for whatever reason, they just never get around to it. Or sometimes people will forget how to contact you. As crazy as that sounds, if someone does a Google search, finds you, calls you, comes into your office, and then 3 weeks go by, especially if there's like a Google algorithm update, they might not ever be able to find you again. Just because they came in and had your business card doesn't necessarily mean they're going to call you. That's why with Amazon, they do remarketing. And a lot of people do remarketing. We do this for our clients. Amazon, I'm sure you've been on Amazon and you've been searching for a toaster or whatever you're buying on Amazon. And then all of a sudden, that toaster is everywhere. That's remarketing. That's because Amazon understands that they're not going to get you on the first sale, but they understand how important the follow-up is and how much money there is in the follow-up. That's also why abandoned cart sequences, if you're on other websites and you add items to a cart. I think Amazon does this. Actually, no, I don't think Amazon does this, but there's definitely websites that have abandoned cart sequences. So if you have items in your cart and you leave the website, they will send you an email, say, wait, your cart's still waiting for you. You've got to you come back and buy this stuff. And they know because a certain percentage of people will come back and will buy that otherwise would not have come back and bought. This system that I'm going to teach you takes care of that problem for you. You'll never have to worry about somebody forgetting who you are or coming in for a consultation and then leaving and then never calling again. Now, you're not going to get everybody, but you're going to increase your bottom line just by being able to stay relevant and in their face and continue providing outreach to them. Now, I learned this very simple concept back when I was in college. When I was in college, I've always been an entrepreneur. I used to run a business where I transferred VHS tapes to DVD. I bought some billboards. The one on the left is actually a real billboard that was running. The one on the right, I couldn't find a picture of this billboard, but this is the proof that Clear Channel. Actually, that's back when it was called Clear Channel. That's how long ago this was. What's interesting about this is I got phone calls left and right. I mean 20, 30 phone calls a day about this service. But for a long time, nobody was actually buying anything. It was basically they drove by, they saw, they're like, oh my God, I need to do that. I've got a pile of VHS tapes in my attic. I need to do that. Let me call you back. I'm going to go home, get them out of the closet and call you back. And they never called me back. So one day, I pulled out, and for some reason, I was smart enough to track everyone that called me in an Excel spreadsheet. Basically, what happened was I went through that spreadsheet and I called every number, and it was a ton of numbers, and I closed a ton of people, and everyone I called, they were like, oh my God, I totally forgot, or oh my God, I lost your number, or yeah, I definitely want to do this, or yeah, I've been meaning to do this, let's set a time. So I came to do this. And the first time I did this, I made like $3,000. I'm a broke college kid, and I just made $3,000. That's pretty amazing. I scrounged together. I had a friend who worked at Clear Channel, so he hooked me up with the billboard. That's pretty amazing, and that's money that I would not have had if I just relied on them if I just relied on them to follow up with me. In fact, I started tracking it. 85% of my sales for that entire business came from follow-up. So only 15% of the people that called me actually hired me or had me transfer their VHS tapes without actually following up. So that's something really important. So now those people before, Nike, Coca-Cola, Band-Aid, Kleenex, John Morgan, Johnny Cochran, how did they become associated with their brands? Well, they spent millions, or in the cases of many of them, billions of dollars to build this top of mind awareness. Or they did something significant. Johnny Cochran defended OJ. Gloria Allred stood up for women's rights, and she's kind of become known for that. So how can you do this? Because obviously I'm not going to sit here and ask you to spend millions of dollars or billions of dollars. And I'm also, you also may say, well, I don't have any significant accomplishments. How many OJ cases come along? So here's how you do it. And this is going to be what this entire strategy revolves around. You're going to identify a niche of people. You're then going to build a community around that, and you're going to provide value to that community, and you're going to do it consistently. And that is the secret to growing your brand and getting a ton of clients online without really even working for it. And I'm going to show you as we get into this, you're going to see how this happens so that it doesn't really take a lot of effort on your part. So more specifically, here's the way this entire strategy kind of flows through. And this is what I do. This is my personal strategy. I know it works. You pick a niche, and then you create bait. Bait would be something like a cheat sheet. Many of the people that are in this probably downloaded my cheat sheet, or maybe you got my free Facebook marketing guide. And then here's the important part. You're going to collect an email address. So everything you do, you're not going to give anything away for free without an email address. So once you have their email address, then you can get them into your world. So you're going to push them into your Facebook group, and you're also going to email them every day. Now, here's the important part. You email them every day because not everyone on your email list is going to join your Facebook group. So what I do is I have an automatic email sequence that's set up. It emails every single person on my list every single day, and I'm constantly feeding it with new content, and I create new content every single day. And here's the cool part. This content only takes me like 2 or 3 minutes to do every single day. It's not, this strategy, it seems like a lot. The majority of it is automated, and it's easy. It doesn't take a lot of time. I mean, look, I have a marketing agency where I have 50 clients, and I still manage to do this every day. So it's a great strategy. Now, here's the best part about this entire strategy. And this is my absolute favorite part. This is why I believe so heavily in this strategy. There is no competition. This is a total blue ocean. Now, I say blue ocean because there's a book, the picture of it's on the right, it's called Blue Ocean Strategy. And basically, what it talks about is that most industries are red oceans. So most advertising platforms are red oceans, like search engine optimization, pay-per-click, television, things like that. Now, what that means is that the waters, if you're looking at like an ocean, the waters are full of sharks all feeding on the same fish. So the water is really bloody. So for example, SEO, how many other lawyers in your market are you competing with over that top spot on Google or that top pay-per-click spot where you're having to pay $100 a click or $200 a click or television inventory? So what you're in is a red ocean because there's so much competition. But there's no competition here. And the reason is because this strategy is unknown to so many lawyers. The other reason is because there's so many false beliefs about a strategy like this. People think they don't have time. They think it doesn't work because they've had bad experiences in the past. Or, and this really benefits you, is they don't want to make an effort. That's the majority of people. People just sometimes they don't want to make an effort. They don't want to provide the value. They just want it done for them. And it works okay until it doesn't, I mean, you'll always be struggling until you just kind of make an effort. If you want to be significant, if you want to do something that's really great, you've got to be willing to do what other people aren't doing. You've got to provide a lot of value. In fact, providing value is the key to this entire strategy. Tony Robbins, I saw him speak about a month ago, 2 months ago maybe. He had a quote that I really liked. He said, "I discovered a long time ago that if I helped enough people get what they wanted, I would always get what I wanted and I would never have to worry." And I have to tell you that is 100% absolutely true if you follow this strategy. Okay, so when you provide value, and I know that this is what happens because it's happening to me, it's happened to other attorneys that I've worked with, it's happened to clients, a lot of different things. Your following will grow organically. People will start to recognize you as the value and as a high value source, and they will begin to follow you. You will reach more and more people for free. And I'm not talking about search engine optimization. Your message, your videos, your content, everything that you create will reach more and more and more people as people share it and like it and do all that good stuff that happens organically on social media. Here's something cool. People will view you as the expert. Now, you probably are an expert at your practice area. If you're a personal injury attorney and you've been, practicing for, any length of time, any period of time, you're probably an expert. I mean, maybe not technically in the eyes of the bar, but, in the eyes of anybody, you know this like the back of your hand. But you and, 5,000 other lawyers, so how do you stand out? And that's by providing value. That's what this strategy is going to do. This will differentiate you from all those other attorneys because you're the expert, and I'm going to show you how to become the expert. The other interesting thing is that people will actually want to hire and retain you, not just, they're not just going to go to Google and search personal injury attorney and then look you up. What will actually happen is they'll seek you out. And this happens to me all the time. It happens to Renee Reese that I talk to. It happens to a lot of different people. What happens is because you're the one that's constantly providing value and constantly providing all this information, and you're that authoritative figure, when they need a service that you provide, why would they hire anybody else? You're the expert. You're the one that's been providing all this value. You're the only option. I've had people that I've had lawyers, and lawyers hate marketers. That's kind of the interesting thing is that lawyers really do not like marketing companies because they just get inundated with marketing materials. But for some reason, Well, not for some reason. It's because I provide a ton of value. But lawyers are convincing. They're trying to persuade me to take them on as a client, and my agency's full. I'm not taking new clients right now. So it's a really interesting transition that I've made, where I've gone from trying to sell to I'm the one being sold to. So it's just really interesting. Now, here's the thing to think about. You have, and I call it a superpower. Maybe it's a little cheesy, but your superpower will not seem like a big deal to you. You've been a family law attorney or an employment attorney or whatever type of law you practice. You've been doing this for so long. You went to school for it. You've got tons of experience. The information that you have in your head will not seem like a big deal to you. For me, marketing doesn't seem like a big deal to me. The information that's in your head is extremely valuable to somebody that needs it. It likely comes naturally to you. And like I said, it's insanely valuable for somebody that is in need of your service. So you may know the child support laws and all the rules for DUI and when a police officer can or can't stop you and different things like that and what the actual rights are. Somebody who's just arrested for DUI doesn't know that. So if you can provide them information that there's so many people that when they need an attorney, they're scared, they have so many questions, and if you can provide those answers, that's extremely valuable. So when it comes to providing content and providing, becoming an expert and becoming an authority, a lot of times what's going to develop is a negative inner voice. And this happens to me all the time. You may think, I'm not the best attorney. I'm not the smartest attorney. I'm not the most experienced attorney. I don't like my appearance. I don't speak well on camera. The reality is, it doesn't matter if you're the best. It doesn't matter if you're the smartest. It doesn't matter if you're the most experienced. And also, people don't care what you look like, and it doesn't matter how well you speak on camera. I'm horrible on camera. I say and all kinds of stuff like that, and it just hasn't bothered me, or it hasn't hindered me in any way. What's important is that you're out there, you're providing value, and you're becoming an authority. And what's going to happen when you're providing that content is that you're going to get better. When you're providing value, when you're creating videos and interacting with people and becoming the authority, you're going to get better. There's very few things that you do over and over and over again that you get worse at. So that's something that's very all these negative inner thoughts that you might have, any apprehensions about positioning yourself to be an authority, to be someone in the spotlight. The reality is 9/10 of the game is just showing up, because like I said, there's no competition. No one else is doing this. So, if you do this, you're already ahead of the game. Now, the other thing to think about with the I'm not the best, I'm not the smartest, I'm not the most experienced, you could be a lawyer for 5 years and you're definitely not the most experienced. There's probably guys that have been, attorneys for 40 years and that you're competing with. But there is no correlation with being the best at something or being the best at your thing and getting paid for it. However, there is an absolute correlation with being the best at marketing your thing and getting paid for it. And that's why a lot of times on Google, you'll see a lot of the, and I'm not saying this is a general rule, but a lot of times I talk to clients and they see other attorneys that are ranking number one on Google, and they're like, I've never even heard of that guy, or that guy's a horrible attorney. He doesn't even handle his cases. It's because he's a good marketer, and that's the reality, is that a lot of this doesn't matter. There's actually, and I don't think that anyone that is to this extreme, but that movie, Catch Me If You Can. If you ever saw that movie, the guy pretended to be an airline pilot, and he pretended to be a doctor and all these different things. And there's a scene that's in the book. It's not actually in the movie. I don't think it's in the movie, but it's in the book, where basically he was a student at BYU. He showed up to sociology, I think it was sociology class one day, and the teacher wasn't there. So he opened the book and started teaching the class. and afterwards, they were asking him, how did you know how to teach sociology? And he said, I just read one chapter ahead of the students. So I mean, it's like, if you know more, you just have to be smarter and better and more experienced than the people that you're working with, and or the people that are following you, and you're going to see success. Now, the other part of success is there's going to be detractors out there. Now, that's what's going to happen. When you start making a name for yourself, when you start having success, people are not going to be happy about that. Now, the thing you have to remember is that there are two ways to build the tallest building in the city. The first way is you work your butt off and you lay brick after brick after brick and you build the biggest building. The other way is you knock down all the other buildings. So, I mean, that's what a lot of the detractors are doing. They don't want to, it's if somebody's halfway up the mountain, the only way to beat them is to run faster, and they don't want to do that. So, what they want to do is they want to knock all the buildings down. So, there's a quote, I don't know who said it, but I love this quote. If you haven't pissed off somebody by noon, you're not working hard enough, and I think that's pretty accurate.